Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Heather. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids and we are going into our 11th year homeschooling this year. I would love for you to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you are notified of all of my future videos. Today we are going to be talking all about how to choose curriculum. It is probably the most frequently asked question that I get from new homeschoolers and even some veteran homeschoolers who want to switch things around or are going through a second round with little kids. They want to know about new resources available, and so that is what we are going to be talking about today. I will have a lot of resources listed in the description box so that you can find those easily. And as always, if you have questions, you can email me. My contact information is in the description box, or certainly leave a comment if you would like to. So let's get started. When people first decide to homeschool, the number one thing that they think about is curriculum. What am I supposed to be teaching my kids? What resources am I supposed to use? How do I find these resources? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, I am probably going to approach this in a little bit different way. I know that you will find a lot of curriculum recommendation videos and walkthroughs and all kinds of information out on the internet and in YouTube, but really where I am going to tell you to start is with your idea of your homeschool days. What is it that you want out of your homeschool? Now, I know that a lot of people will say, oh, just get whatever your child will be doing in public school, but that is not the direction that we're going to go at all. In fact, I have a workshop on getting out of the public school mindset because homeschool and public school are two completely different things. If you're interested in that workshop, it is available right now, and I'll leave a link in the description box. But homeschooling is so different than public school. You are not managing a classroom of 20 to 30 kids. You are only dealing with your own children. And so that in and of itself just makes homeschooling completely different than public school. But what I mean when I say to think about your homeschool days is to think about the rhythm that you want out of your homeschool day. Now, are you a family that really loves nature and you like to be outside all of the time? Then maybe you would want to be doing more nature study or, lots of hikes and learning through nature. That is a way to homeschool. But if that's that is how you want your homeschool day to be, you don't want to have a textbook heavy homeschool curriculum because you won't have enough time to be out in nature doing the things that your family is really passionate about. So when you think about curriculum, before you buy curriculum, before you even look for curriculum, I really want you to sit down and list out what you expect your homeschool day to be like. Do you want to be reading a lot of living books with your kids? Do you want to be outside a lot? Do you like a lot of projects and project-based learning? Are you more interested in following the rabbit trails and the interests of your kids and letting them really direct you into finding the resources that they need to explore the interests that they are passionate about? So there are so many different homeschool philosophies out there, and every family is going to be different. I don't even think within the same homeschool philosophy you're going to find two families that do things the exact same way. I mean, it is possible, obviously, but I don't think that it is very common to find people that are doing the exact same thing that you want your family to do. So you really have to look at your family as an individual family, your individual kids, and figure out what you want your homeschool to look like. Now, if you have older kids and you're just starting to homeschool, I would say, 3rd grade and up, sit down with them and find out what they are interested in and what they expect their homeschool to look like. A lot of times they are going to be thinking purely of public school, especially if they've been in public school for any number of years, they will think about homeschooling through that lens. And so it may take a little bit of time, a little bit of deschooling. I will leave a link about what deschooling is and how to go about doing that in the description box so you are familiar with it. But you need to figure out what your kids are interested in. What are their strengths? Where are they going to be best equipped to further their education? And so it is a little bit of trial and error at first, and that's why I say to start with your homeschool rhythm. So once you figure out what your homeschool rhythm is going to be, you can start to explore some of those homeschool philosophies. Now, I do have one resource that I will share with you. This book is Plan Your Year by Pam Barnhill. It is a workbook, but it does have a lot of great information in here, especially about the general types of homeschool methods that are out there. It does not deep dive into all of them. I think she only has maybe 5 listed, but the most common ones in my mind are Charlotte Mason, Classical Homeschooling, if you know anything about the Well-Trained Mind, Susan Weisbauer, or Classical Conversations, that's classical homeschooling. Then there's Unschooling, which is where your child takes the lead and you don't necessarily have a prescribed curriculum to use. You sort of find the resources that your child needs for their interests. We do literature-based homeschooling, which means we read a lot of great books, and that is what my family enjoys. It's sort of Charlotte Mason inspired as well. There's Thomas Jefferson leadership education. There is Montessori, Waldorf, so many different ideas of homeschool philosophies. And probably the most common is eclectic. And that really means that you are pulling from a bunch of different philosophies. And I would consider us eclectic as well, because while we do tend to read a lot of books and have literature-based homeschooling as our general curriculum, we also do a lot of interest-led learning based off of the books that we are reading and then just the interests that my kids have. So that is a lot of information. There are quizzes. I found a couple of different quizzes that will help you sort of narrow down your focus. And then once you narrow down your focus, then you can sort of research some of those different philosophies and see if one really resonates with you and if you think it will resonate with your kids. It's very important to figure out how you are going to teach best as well as how your child learns best. And again, that is going to be trial and error. It is not going to come immediately, and that's okay because homeschooling is not a sprint, it is a marathon. And so as long as you are making adjustments as you go, which I will talk about when we get into monthly homeschool planning, which hopefully that video will be out soon, that is going to help you really get into a good rhythm. Are you going to be in a good rhythm the first week of school? No, you are not. And if you think about public school, they aren't either. It takes them, a good 2 or 3 weeks to settle into a rhythm at public school. So don't expect that just because your kids are home and you are in your comfortable environment that it is going to be super easy. It isn't always easy. It does take a little bit of time. That doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. It just means that you are getting used to something new, and that's okay. If you are coming from public school, I know that one of the biggest concerns is to figure out what your child should be learning in that specific grade. But again, I will point you to my Getting Out of the Public School Mindset workshop because you are not required to teach to the same line that the public school does, especially in the early elementary ages. Kids are all over the place. They could be way ahead for math and way behind for reading and on track for writing. It really depends on the student. And the beauty of homeschooling is that you are able to meet your child at their level. So you, especially in the earlier grades, are going to want to see where they are, and don't try to force them either above level or below level just because that may be what their particular grade would be learning in public school. Now, obviously, every state has different homeschool requirements, and so you want to make sure that you are following your state's requirements. In Maine, we are required to have 175 days in a specific 175 homeschool instruction days, but we're also required to teach specific subjects. But what and how we teach those subjects is completely up to us. And so homeschooling gives us an enormous amount of freedom, which is a great thing. It's so wonderful to be able to teach your kids what you want to teach them. I think that's one of the biggest reasons that we are homeschoolers. However, that freedom can also be really scary because you don't have anything to compare it to. And so you look to the public school to see what they're doing to make sure that your kids are keeping up with what their peers may be doing. But that's not necessary in homeschooling. You get to choose what and how to teach your kids. Now, I know that some parents still need a little extra help, and that is totally fine. I know a lot of people will say, well, what are the standards in my particular state? I wouldn't really look at those standards because, again, they are managing a large classroom of students, and they have kids that are below the line and above the line and at that line that they are teaching to. So it's going to be a little bit different. But I do have another resource which I have recommended time and time again to people in my Maine Homeschool Network Facebook group and the Townsend House community. And that book is this Home Learning Year by Year. This goes through everything that is normally taught in a particular grade, as well as, names of books, different curriculum resources that you can use. I think it is a great, great book, reference book for homeschooling. I think that having some sort of an idea of where to start obviously is helpful, especially if you are new to homeschooling and you're not starting with a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old. If you're starting with somebody who is in 7th grade or 8th grade, you do kind of want to know what direction you ought to go to. So that is a really good resource to have in your homeschool library. I recommend it to so many people, and it has been very helpful to me as well. So once you are figuring out what your homeschool rhythm is and you have some ideas on homeschool methods and philosophies that you like, I would definitely look for a book or a resource related to that homeschool philosophy. There are so many homeschool books available. I have a list on Amazon of all of my favorites. I read a wide variety of homeschool philosophies because I enjoy research and learning about different ways to teach my kids. Every child is different, and so you can pull different philosophies for different subjects. You could do very textbook-based math, but maybe you want to do more exploration learning for science, and that is totally okay. I will have a link in the description box for all of those books, and I would definitely, when you figure out what philosophies you sort of gravitate towards, first look for brief articles on blogs to match some of those philosophies, but then also deep dive into some of the books that are available. If you're interested in unschooling, Ben Hewitt is a great resource. John Holt is a great resource. If you're interested in classical homeschooling, obviously Susan Weiss Bauer in The Well-Trained Mind, she has some amazing resources. If you're interested in Charlotte Mason, there's a Charlotte Mason companion book, which is so helpful. If you're interested in literature-based learning, there are several different curriculum companies. Sunlight, which is a Christian-based company, Bookshark, which is more secular, Build Your Library, which is also secular. They have all of their book lists broken down by age range, and so that is a great resource for you to have. There are a lot of resources. It can be overwhelming. So if you find yourself drowning in too many resources, you can email me and I can give you a quick summary of the best resources for that particular philosophy that you're looking into. Then once you figure out that philosophy and you kind of have an idea of where you want to go, that is the point when you start to look for curriculum, because you don't want to try to buy a bunch of curriculum and then realize that none of that is going to fit into your day. Maybe you are out of the house a lot for different activities, or maybe you joined a co-op or have a group of people that you get together with to help with learning, and the work is not going to get done because you can't fit it into the time slots. Or maybe your child does a particular sport and is very involved with that sport, or music or drama or whatever it is. You want to fit your curriculum into the rhythm that you have chosen for your home. Is it going to be a perfect fit? No, it's never going to be a perfect fit, but it's going to be easier for you to start with the rhythm and then get resources to support that rhythm rather than the other way around. So then when you have decided on your philosophy and your rhythm and you figured out how much time you're going to have, how you want your day to be set up, that's when you can start looking at the resources. And the curriculum and resources, I have a blog post that has some of the more popular curriculum companies. There are companies that sell a wide range of curriculum. Christianbook.com has a bunch of different homeschool curriculum. It is not all Christian-based curriculum. They have spelling programs and math programs. They have all-in-one box programs. Evan Moore is another resource. It has a lot of workbook-based curriculum. They do have some all-in-one packages. You may not want to get one of those all-in-one packages when you're starting out because they are expensive, but it also does have everything that you need to complete a year. So sometimes it's a good idea to just start there and then pick and choose the things that work best for your family. And then in your second year, you're able to say, okay, well, that really worked well for us, or that didn't work well for us. So for instance, in my family, we do purchase a boxed curriculum from Sunlight, and this is going to be our 12th level this year through Sunlight, and I love it. I still add other resources to that, and we pick and choose based on how our year is going, how busy we are, all of the other stuff that also impacts our days. That's how I sort of use that curriculum. We do end up reading all of the books in the curriculum that we get, but we don't necessarily read them based on the schedule. So I make my own schedule based on what my family needs, and that works best for us. Another resource is Rainbow Resource. They have great prices and their shipping is really good. Then you have particular homeschool curriculum companies. There's a lot of Christian companies out there, Abeka, BJU Press. There's Veritas Press. There's how many? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I should have written down a bunch of curriculum companies. but I do have a blog post that has some of the more popular options broken down, if it's an all-in-one package. I have some free resources. Easy Peasy All-in-One Homeschool is a free resource online. Ambleside Online has free lesson plans. You do still have to get the books that they talk about, but you can get those from the library if you're so inclined. All of that information is in that homeschool curriculum post that I have listed in the description box. So choosing curriculum can be really daunting, but figure out exactly what is the most important for you. In our family, I want them to have a solid math program. I want them to have a solid reading and writing. And so that is where I start. And then the history and the science, a lot of that is covered through our reading. Because we are literature-based homeschoolers, we do have labs with our science, especially for Emma as she's getting older and into the high school level classes. So you will get there. It does take a little bit of time to figure out the correct resources for your family, and that is okay. I think that is the main thing that I want to stress in this video, is that even though the first thing that you think of is the curriculum, it shouldn't be, because your children are going to learn no matter what curriculum you use. You are going to find a way to move forward, and you don't want to be having a year where you are fighting with your kids to get through resources because it doesn't match their learning style or your teaching style or your family dynamic overall. So put in the time in the front end to figure out exactly what you're looking for out of your curriculum and resources, and then look for those resources to match that philosophy and the way that you want to homeschool your kids. So that is how I'm going to say to start choosing curriculum for your family. If you have questions, I know that these videos are not going to be a complete step-by-step guide to help you choose exactly what you need for your family. I do offer homeschool coaching. I will leave a link for that in the description box as well. If you need more help, you can certainly reach out to me through email if you have specific questions. I'm always happy to help homeschool moms and dads figure out what is going to work best for their family. Thank you guys so much for watching. I would love it if you would give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.